In this video, I will introduce the idea of the 3 keystones for posture. Today, more than ever before, posture is more important, and this video will share with you some good tips for keeping your posture nice and strong and keeping pain and discomfort at bay. The shoulder girdle, the neck and the hips, these are big structures in the body, and these are the foundational positions. There's a lot of muscle and bone and ligaments and tendons and so on and so forth all in these areas, and if they're in a bad position, then we're not able to hold much weight, absorb much impact. So the shoulder girdle is between the shoulders, the upper back, the upper chest, and obviously it's a big old lump of body. There's a lot of things going on and around there, and the neck sits right on top of there. And so the shoulder girdle and the neck are very much next to each other, and they're very much interconnected. And the hips, opposite end of the body, obviously below the torso, you've got masses of tissue there, masses of bones and so on. So we need to create tension in these keystones. What we want to think about when we're thinking about these parts of the body, especially the shoulder girdle and the hips, is this idea of external rotation. So externally rotating away from the center of the body. This is going to give us a stronger posture. It's going to create torque, and it's going to give us a foundation for strength. Torque is having dynamic tension in 2 directions. So if we take a simple standing in a nice strong position, they call it 2-character position in Qigong, Kung Fu, and Tadasana in yoga. So if I stand nice and tall with my head rising up to the sky, and I'm really extending myself to my full height, I'm thinking to myself, I want to feel like I'm 10 foot tall. So in my upper torso, I'm extending up, but in my lower torso, my legs are dead straight, because the taller I stand, the straighter my legs have to be. So the external rotation works in addition to that standing tall. So if I imagine I'm standing tall in both the upper and the lower torso, that's one direction. But if I want to create torque, I need at least 2 directions. So this external rotation I'm talking about works in both the shoulder girdle, the shoulders kind of roll back and my chest broadens, and the same happens in my hips. I'm engaging the muscles on the back and the sides of these structures. So I'm getting that rotation, that torque, giving 2 directions to both. And this external rotation is very, very important. And you'll find that the more you look at exercise and strength training, and even body weight training, this teaching point comes up again and again: external rotation. The shoulders feel like they're a lot more loose in this position. Also, the muscles in my upper back seem to be engaged in this external rotation. You'll find that if I'm going to pick up a big heavy weight in relative terms, if I don't have this external rotation, there's a lot of muscle groups I'm not engaging, and this external rotation not only creates a stable platform for the specific joint, but it also attaches to the musculature of the body. You'll find there's a lot of crossover between sort of strength training and Qigong and yoga and so on and so forth. So it's like there's some wisdom there that carries over between disciplines. So we've talked about getting torque in the shoulder girdle and hips, but what about the top keystone of the neck and head? Well, 80% of our energy wants to be sending our head up. Imagine we've got a string on the top of the head, typical teaching point from yoga and Qigong. So imagine our head is suspended, as being pulled gently up to the sky, lengthening our spine and taking the weight off our spine. So the head's pretty heavy, so instead of the head sitting on the spine, it's actually lifting up to the sky. So we say about 80% of the force or energy we're applying from our head and neck is going upwards. Leaves us 20% of energy, tension, whatever you want to call it. I want here my crown to just slowly move backwards. Now, I already want to put 15-20% of my energy into this, and what I don't want is my chin to lift. What I want to do is just bring my head back ever so slightly. So we imagine those people looking at their phones all the time, or they're sat on a computer and they're kind of in a C-shaped spine. We want to bring our head back just to create a nice curve. Everyone else is sat forward, craning forward with really poor form. We're gonna sit back away. It feels quite nice to do that, as I say. 15%, 20% of the head moving back, 80% up. So you've got that dynamic tension. We've got energy moving in two directions, as I mentioned earlier, with the torque. So it's an important idea to understand from a martial arts point of view. Having your head in a good position, as relates to your neck, shoulders, and hips, allows you to absorb a lot more punishment. Posture and absorbing strikes have strong correlation. I've always said for many years that sometimes that you'll get hit hard by something. This could be anywhere on the body. You don't feel it at all. But the opposite is also true. Sometimes you get hit softly by something and it hurts a hell of a lot. And it tends to be when you're a bit out of position. Being in the right position is good long-term health-wise for our posture, but it also affects the ability for us to absorb strikes or knocks. And it takes me to a famous story. For anyone who's interested in MMA, you'll know this story very well. But if you're not, this is a story demonstrating just this fact. Anderson Silva was the middleweight champion of the world in UFC for, I can't remember how long now, 8 years or so. Yeah, many title defenses. He looked unbeatable for a long time, and everyone thought he was the greatest champion of all time. And I just want to take two brief examples. There was one fight where he fought Dan Henderson, known as big power puncher, wrestler. It tends to be that if Dan Henderson wins, excuse me, yeah, his big right hand's going to factor into that. And I think it was in the second round of his fight with Anderson Silva, he lands his vaunted right hand flush on Anderson Silva's chin and comes back with a left hand too. And Anderson just shook it off, almost kind of smirked. And you can hear the impact of these shots, but he was in good position, as I say. He had the keystone was in the right spot. His neck and chin and hips were all in a line. He was in good solid position. He survives, he comes back to win. He didn't even need to survive. He wasn't wobbled at all by these shots. Now, the counter to this is when Anderson lost his title. I can't remember how many wins he had in between, but he came to fight Chris Weidman some years later. And the interesting point of this fight was that he was joking around in this fight a lot. He was very confident. He got clipped with a little shot, started to pretend to be hurt, and he started to shake his legs and bend his knees like he is wobbled, and he leant right back. So there was nothing underneath his head, if you follow me. So his feet are the furthest thing forward, then back a little bit his hips, and then back even further as his chin. Now this is where he got hit. Now bear in mind, a few years previously got hit with one of the biggest punchers in the division, took it no problem. In this one, he got hit with not a massive strike, but a decent strike nonetheless. But he was in such bad position, his posture was so poor, that he wasn't able to absorb that shot. So he got cleaned, hit on the jaw, lost his title. It was, to me, a real clear indication of how important posture is, not just for these fighters fighting for world titles, but if they're able to absorb that much better contact, if they're able to better absorb it with a better posture, we can learn from that, us normal people. So to recap, the three keystones of a strong posture are the neck, shoulder girdle, and hips. And each of these keystones require torque, that's dynamic tension in at least two directions. If you like this video, please like, please subscribe, please share with anyone you know who spends a lot of time complaining about a sore back, sore neck, sore lower back, and so on. And we'll be back with another video soon.